Hello. This is Christina Barr. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about this video that's circulating around with Scott Adams. I talked about it a bit yesterday, or referenced it, but I didn't have time to go through it. So today I want to talk about it and the criticisms surrounding it, because I don't think it was a wise video, but it seems like he's more interested to get reactions out of people than he is about, I don't know, his financial repercussions or anything like that. But I thought it was interesting because there's something about his criticism, his conversation, that is very much aligned with like critical race theory. So I just got to point it out. So we got to watch it together. Also, President Trump went to East Palestine the other day, and he got rave reviews from people on the right, and they're saying, oh, he just won the primary and all this other kind of stuff. And then he went on True Social and bragged about how, like, his ratings, like how many people were talking about it, the views and stuff. And I just find that, distasteful, I guess. And people are kind of like, you did a good thing. Why this? Why the need to brag about this and to kind of taint what happened? Also want to talk about Hogwarts Legacy is killing it, which is funny because there's so much outrage and hysteria over the game because of J.K. Rowling, who I heard isn't getting royalties from the game. So that really puzzles me as to why such outrage. But yeah, Warner Brothers is killing it as far as the money, and it's obviously a huge franchise, and a lot of people are attached to it, and it gets to immerse people into that world. But I think a lot of people are determined to play it because there's so many people coming after the game. So we will talk about those things and some other things today. But before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different articles, different videos. I dropped an article today about why I'm not a feminist. So if you didn't see that, I recommend you go ahead and check it out. I have a lot of new people who started following me on like YouTube, especially with some of my gender stuff. And sometimes I get called a TERF, and I'm like, I'm not a feminist. So I made a post, and some people are like, yeah. And other people are like, no, why would you say this? Like, you totally say some things that radical, feminists, radfems or whatever agree with. And I'm like, just because I might say something that someone agrees with, doesn't mean that we have to both identify with the same thing. And so just a lot of the premises of feminism I don't agree with. And I could talk about like weird activists and the performative theatrics or the microaggressions and some of the narratives that like wage gap and some things that they talk about as far as like rape culture in the United States. I'm like, there is no uplifting of it. It's a heinous crime. People are not okay when that happens. Not saying that there aren't powerful people who are protected. That's not my claim, but the I don't even want to get into this whole thing, but the criticism is that we don't live in a society that uplifts it. Like it's a good thing. There is no like rape culture month or something crazy to that regard. So anyway, mostly I just don't agree with the premise, and a lot of people talk about equality, and I don't think that I want equal rights, of course, but I think men and women are different, and we serve a complementary nature to one another, and some of our gender roles do have a lot to do with biology. So I made my case. You guys can read it. I took the time to write the article, so you go ahead and read it. I will probably make a video too, one that was better than that little summary that I just gave. But it is available on my website. You guys can check that out along with other videos and articles. If you like what I do here at blacktnews.com, check out the website and go to the donate page and hit the donate button. We are getting close to like hitting some markers that I want to hit on YouTube. I'm not monetized right now. We'll see if they allow me to be monetized. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I hope so. But it costs a stream, costs to run my website, costs to do all sorts of things. I had a purchase that I had to get the other day to keep things going. It was kind of an emergency purchase, and there's just a lot that goes into it behind the scenes. So if you can help, I appreciate those who have given and who are willing to give on the website. God bless you for it, whether it's a small gift of like $10, $20, or a larger gift. It's very much appreciated. But I thank you guys for watching live, watching back later, for tagging different people, saying, hey, check out Black Tea. It all very much helps. And it also helps when you guys purchase things on the website, like this My Money, My Business shirt. And of course, we got Black Tea mugs and You Are Not That Special and all kinds of different stuff you guys can check out. And also make sure that you guys are pre-ordering my book. Of course, God is blatantly against abortion. Usually I make secular arguments for why I'm pro-life, but there's a video I have today, for example, on TikTok. It's one of my pen videos, I believe. I haven't posted on YouTube. Maybe I will. But this guy had like a lot of like eugenicist type reasons that I brought up, that he brought up in his argument. He didn't refer to it as eugenics, but I rebutted, and I was like boom, boom, boom with a bunch of different couple points. And I had said that he doesn't have godlike omniscience to know, whether someone, if it's justifiable to take someone's life because you assume that they might suffer, in the contrast of, but people don't believe that we should kill each other and denounce their rights to life, walking around because they have guaranteed suffering. So all I said in that comment in the video was, you don't possess godlike omniscience. And then someone was like, oh, you Christians and you evangelicals. I'm like, this video is not about religion at all. So I don't know what they replied, but other people did like make that case. And so then that led to me replying to people. Just anytime you have a conversation about abortion, someone always goes religious. So I'm like, you know what? I had to keep addressing it, and just kind of grew into the book. So you can pre-order it right now on Kindle or Amazon, on Kindle, ebook, or I guess Nook. But you will be able to order on paperback. So just keep out on the lookout for that. So let's move on. First things first, you guys know, like start with a meme. I have already used a meme with this topic, but I thought I'd go again with the designer labels hate him. Learn how he saves on the latest fashion with just one simple trick. So we already talked about this week, but Sam Britton, who used to be under the Biden administration, was stealing clothes. He'd go to the airport and he would steal different women's clothes, their bags. He'd just take them. And so one designer came out and said that he took a suitcase of hers in 2018. I guess she thought it was lost or whatever. And she had her designer clothes in the bag. And there's quite a few pictures of him wearing her outfits out there, including jewelry. So yeah, that's what that meme is. If you missed that story, it's an interesting story. Creepy, sad, infuriating, but I just want people to be aware, because those are the kind of people who get, a part of the Biden administration. But the Biden administration, they so wholeheartedly care about diversity, and that is the most important thing to them. That's the most, not how good you're going to be at the job. I mean, you got to have the ideology, but like as far as like competency to actually complete the task in front of you, not so. Here's our press secretary just, bragging about the important things in life.
I want to take the opportunity to lay out how diverse the president's cabinet has been, how diverse the president's administration has been. The cabinet is majority people of color for the first time in history. The cabinet is majority female for the first time in history. A majority of White House senior staff identify as female. 40% of White House senior staff identify as part of the racially diverse communities. And a record 7 assistants to the president are openly LGBTQ+. So again, this is something that the president prides himself on, that he actually has taken action to show the diversity of this administration.
So notice they said identify as women, because you got our health assistant secretary, Rachel Levine. So our press secretary is a Black woman, and she's gay, and she's awful in her job. I think she's not as good as Jen Psaki was, and Jen Psaki wasn't as good as the people that Trump had in the former administration. So just because you are a diversity hire, like, does not mean that you are going to be good at the job. You might even, like, on paper be qualified for the job, but it doesn't mean that you're going to actually be good for the job. But some of these people weren't qualified on paper and were legit diversity hires, like Rachel Levine, for example. And Levine does have background, in health and running things in the government, but Levine is one of the people who was a person who got his mom out of nursing homes when they had, like, the nursing home policies, and they were putting, like, mixing COVID people, but he knew it was dangerous, so he got his mom out. So to elevate that person into that position seems really sketchy. But we'll have to go through some of Biden's picks and just lay out the case for why a lot of these folks are diversity hires coming in, and that I'm not just saying that to be mean, but we know that the press secretary is very bad at her job. But at least they're checking off boxes, and they got all the Skittles together inside that crazy rainbow, and that's what's important to them. That's what's important to them. Not so much the American people, but at least, they got different colors in there. Okay, so I want to talk about Trump really quick before we go into the Scott Adams thing. Is a thing that's going to take a while, but so Trump went to East Palestine the other day, and it seemed like the obvious thing to do, and people are pointing out that it was, like, the obvious thing to do, especially if he had, like, some kind of presidential aspirations. But he was the president, and these people did vote for him, twice. And so it's not so crazy that he would show up to show these people support. And people had a very strong reaction to him being there, very happy that he was there. Tucker Carlson had someone on Fox who was talking about it, just happy that he acknowledged him. It was kind of like, and Jingle All the Way, which everyone says is a terrible Christmas movie, but it's one of my favorite Christmas movies, and we make sure to watch it every year. And I don't know how much of that is us quoting Arnold and having fun. I don't know. I like the film. Okay, I enjoy it. So there was a scene when his son, if you don't know the premise, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a very busy father, and he's always kind of letting down his family because he's putting work over his family. And so he was supposed to get his son a Turbo Man for Christmas, and he forgot. And so the story is about him spending his day trying to get this toy on Christmas Eve, and it's the toy of the season. So he was supposed to go to the parade with his son, and he ends up not being able to go to the parade or leave with his wife and his child because of the events of the day. But then he decides he's going to go to the parade, and through shenanigans, he ends up being put into the Turbo Man costume for the parade, and then he had to fight Sinbad. I love this movie. And but when he had to pick which child he was going to give the Turbo Man to, they turned up his volume, and he pointed to his son in the audience, and he yells, "Jamie!" And the kid's just like, "He knows my name." And so I said all that to get to that part. That's what it was like watching that interview with Tucker. Um, you know, there was such admiration for Trump. And as far as him being able to do something with FEMA and other stuff like that, that's not within his power. That's, stuff that's in the hands of the federal government now. But sometimes people just need to know that you care. And I said yesterday, I don't. Maybe it would have been good for Biden to go to there instead of like going to Ukraine. I mean, that's a criticism that people have. I don't think they would have had as much excitement or love for Biden showing up than they did for Trump showing up. And maybe Biden knows that, and that's why one of the reasons why he's not going to go, because at the end of the day, he doesn't care that much, especially if it's not going to benefit him. But I showed a video yesterday of him in McDonald's and people excited, and he paid for everybody inside of the restaurant, took a picture with the owner, and the owner of the restaurant, had helped with the first responders and other stuff like that. And there was commentary from Jack Posobiec, who, was saying, oh, he just won the primary, which that's super premature. But Ben and other folks are talking about Ben Shapiro, that this was a great moment for Trump. And I don't disagree. I do think I was a little surprised by how much glowing sort of reviews that he was getting for it. But then he did this. He put out, different statements about the coverage. And that to me taints it a bit, because that politicians, I'm not saying he doesn't care and he didn't show up because he cared, because I think he does genuinely care for his supporters, and at the very least people feel like he cares. So I think this is just another aspect of Trump's personality. he's bragging about poll numbers, and he was bragging about the ratings and all sorts of things throughout his entire presidency and leading up to it, etc. It's just who he is. So I'm not very surprised with this, but this lends more to criticisms of people saying that he went for publicity, rather than him going for other reasons. And I mean, I think the answers are it's always both. I think it's always a bit of both, especially when you're in politics. It's just like always in the back of your head, like, I've gotten phone calls like, this is not, I'm like outing folks for this, not by name, but when you see rallies and there's different people behind, Biden or Trump or whoever, they do stage like the back because it's close, because you want to make sure that there's not randos kind of in those areas, because you do have to do backgrounds on people, especially like when they get to the level they're the president or something. But they do strategically place some people behind. And they don't come right out and say that, but you get that that's part of the reason why they want you there. So just a trick of the trade. It is not something that is unique to Republicans or Democrats. Everybody, both sides do that. Optics, they just do. So when you're in the game of politics, people think about that stuff. So I'm not trying to totally degrade his good gesture. I think it was important for people to know how much you care, and those people feel that he cares, and I believe that he does care for his supporters. And one thing that really set him apart in 2016, and especially when it was up him against Hillary, is that people, especially in some of these flyover states, is that they felt like the forgotten man, and Trump talked about the forgotten man. So as long as people feel that Trump is still fighting for them, he's got a good shot, I think, at still winning the primary. If people feel like he's running for his ego, then I think that runs into a problem. And then they're going to say, well, I was worth taking the sling. It was worth taking the slings and the arrows, and defending you tooth and nail if I feel like that's what you're doing for me. But if people feel at all a guy who, so as long as Trump makes people feel like he's on their side, they'll be on his side. But I just wish these sorts of things that he would not do them. I wish these sorts of things he would not do them. You guys can feel differently. I'm just sharing my opinions. Anyway, let's go on. So the creator of Dilbert, Scott Adams, he's had some interesting political takes for a while. I first I knew the cartoon Dilbert. I'd see it in newspapers and stuff, but when he said that he was predicting that Trump would win, and he started going on like conservative sort of shows, and then he ended up being right and explaining it. He got a pretty big following around, the area of politics, but he also got blowback, and he claims has lost, money and revenue from, supporting Trump. And so I've watched a couple of his lives and read a couple of his commentaries. I think they're pretty interesting, but this one's interesting to say the least. But he's getting a lot of blowback for responding to a poll that came out. We talked about the poll yesterday that Rasmussen did a poll asking people, hey, is it okay to be white? And majority of Americans say, yes, it's okay to be white. They also did ask, could Black people be racist? And majority of Americans, including Black people, said the answer is yes. So I was, like, I know that's true. So I'm glad people were able to admit that, because activists will try to tell you differently. But as far as the is it okay to be white thing, I was glad to hear that a majority of Americans believe that it is okay to be white. I mean, you can't help whether you're white or not or whatever. So I'm glad that enough people admitted that. But there was, a large portion in the polls of people who said they weren't sure. And I think those people who are not sure are probably people who are too scared to say it is okay. That would be my guess, that they would be leaning more okay than not. But Scott Adams had a reaction to this, so I want to go ahead and play a clip. Now, if you want some more context or fuller context, I recommend that you actually go and watch the live that he did. He goes live, I think, about every day, and has this, simultaneous sip and stuff that he does with his audience. This is a clip that's going around. So, it gets like the gist of what we want to talk about, but there's some other, it's clipped. So I just want to point that out. But I want to go ahead and talk about this particular clip. Okay.
Rasmussen asked, white and black. Rasmussen asked, white and black voters, and probably others, do you disagree or agree with the statement, it's okay to be white? 26% of blacks said no, it's not okay to be white. 21% weren't sure. Add them together, that is 47% of black respondents were not willing to say it's okay to be white. So if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. That's a hate group. and I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the fuck away. Wherever you have to go, just get away. Because there's no thing this. This can't be fixed. Right? This can't be fixed. You just have to escape. So that's what I did. I went to a neighborhood where, I have a very low black population. Because unfortunately, there's a high correlation between the density. This is according to Don Lemon, by the way. So here I'm just quoting Don Lemon when he notes that when he lived, is a big difference in your own quality of living based on where you live and who's there. So I think it makes no sense whatsoever as a white citizen of America to try to help black citizens anymore. It's no longer a rational impulse. And so I'm going to back off from being helpful to black America because it doesn't seem like it pays off. Like I've been doing it all my life, and the only outcome is I get called a racist.
So, oh, sorry about that. Got kicked out for a second. So that was quite a video. Says things to tweak people and challenge their thinking and narrative and all sorts of things. So I guess we want to throw that out there as we analyze this, and I'm not going to pretend to know all what the end game of that conversation was. I will say that that was bold because there's so many people. Ultimately, however he meant it and means it, and what kind of experiment he wants for people to think about it, people are not going to take that well. There's already people talking about adding people on Twitter. I saw saying, hey, Dilbert runs in this newspaper and this newspaper and this newspaper. So there's already folks who want to cancel him. It's not the first time, but when you start talking about race in that kind of way, people go at you. So whatever kind of commentary he was meaning to make with that, I guess he made his bet. I would imagine he knows what reaction he's going to get. But maybe he cares more about these conversations and tweaking folks and having those sort of deep dives in people's thoughts than he does about ultimately money. So very interesting. But what I thought was interesting is that his conversation and the idea of get away or there's no point in helping Black people because they'll just think you're racist. That's like CRT. So there's a lot of people calling him out, including people who are like anti-racist type folks and who would ascribe to CRT or at least don't know much about it, but was still, protected tooth and nail, who don't realize that he's like a poster child for it right now in this rant. So before I break down and read something actually from Critical Race Theory Introduction, let me find the Don Lemon video that he was referring to. I think this is the video that he's referring to with Don. Actually, I don't know if I might not have downloaded it. But yeah, if he said he was quoting Don Lemon, there's one video of Don Lemon where he's talking about pulling not pulling yourself. He was talking about how he's lived in, mostly predominantly white neighborhoods versus black neighborhoods, and he did say that people in like the suburbs and stuff, they pick up trash, they care about where they live. He also talked about pulling up your pants. He talked about people not, having babies out of wedlock. Let me share my screen. I have it up on Twitter. Because I do want to play this clip of Don Lemon.
Because Black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing. Here's number 5. And if this doesn't apply to you, if you're not doing this, then it doesn't apply to you. I'm not talking about you. Here's number 5. Pull up your pants. Walking around with your ass and your underwear showing is not okay. In fact, it comes from prison when they take away belts from the prisoner so that they can't make a weapon. And then it evolved into which role a prisoner would have during male-on-male prison sex. The one with the really low pants is a submissive one. You get my point? Number 4 now is the N-word. By promoting the use of that word when it's not germane to the conversation, have you ever considered that you may just be perpetuating the stereotype the master intended, acting like a nigger? Now, number 3, respect where you live. Start small by not dropping trash, littering in your own communities. I've lived in several predominantly white neighborhoods in my life. I rarely, if ever, witness people littering. I live in Harlem now. It's an historically Black neighborhood. Every single day I see adults and children dropping their trash on the ground when a garbage can is just feet away. Just being honest here. Number 2, finish school. You want to break the cycle of poverty? Stop telling kids they're acting white because they go to school or they speak proper English. A high school dropout makes on average $19,000 a year. A high school graduate makes $28,000 a year. A college graduate makes $51,000 a year. Over the course of a career, a college grad will make nearly $1 million more than a high school graduate. That's a lot of money. And number 1, and probably the most important, just because you can have a baby, it doesn't mean you should, especially without planning for one or getting married first. More than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock. That means absent fathers. And the studies show that lack of a male role model is an express train right to prison. And the cycle continues.
So yeah, that was CNN some time ago. Don Lemon some time ago. Isn't it kind of crazy how much the world changes? I don't think you'll see that many. I don't know, maybe they can bring that sort of those true common sense things kind of back again, but might seem like a different world away for you guys. So one, I just want to say I'm not for segregation, and I don't think that Scott, when he said that he got away, I think that was more sarcasm, because I wouldn't imagine that he really picked out a place to live because there was a lack of diversity, and then had the goal to actually say that, out there in the world. I would um that's a heck of a thing to admit out loud if there were truth in that. So I hope that's just like a tweaking sort of thing on his part. But there he did have some reactions from people that he retweeted that I thought were interesting. So here's one of Scott's reactions to someone. They said he cited a recent poll that he said shows that nearly half of all Blacks are not okay with white people. This is so funny to me that white folks are surprised because Black are not okay with white people. Given history and today, why should we be? So and then they had that link to the article. The article was basically straightforward, talking about everything, but Scott said exactly. So his point that he's, I guess, trying to make and convey, and again, we watched a clip that was chopped up, so you can go watch the full thing, but later for more context, but he's saying that he believes that we have reached a point, and I don't know how much he sincerely believes this within himself, but we've reached a point of no return on racial relations. And I so he's talking, he's like the other side of the mirror, or two sides of the same coin, with all these like anti-racist people. Someone said, it's now clear for everyone to see that Dilbert cartoonist Scott Adams is a full-blown white supremacist. He said all black people are a hate group. He won't, which he didn't say that, but he won't help Black America anymore, as if we asked for his racist, bleep help, and for white people to stay away from Black people. And so he said, this supports my point. Why would I spend time around this fellow? Do you spend time with people you don't like? So he's triggered by this poll again, that and by the way, it was majority of Black people say it's okay to be white, but there was a high percentage that said that they're not sure. And I would like to think that a lot of people who said it's not sure are just moral cowards and just afraid to say yes, it's okay to be white, and the other folks are disagree. But you're like in the 20 percentile of folks who say it's not okay to be white. That's still a I'm glad that's not the majority, but it is still like a high number. So he said that it's basically a hate group if there's this many people who believe it's not okay to be white. And so there's other people who are saying, why would Black people like white people? So that's the commentary. And so he's like, we've reached a point of no return. So I want to read to you a bit about critical race theory and introduction. This is one of the tenets of CRT. Well, I guess this is technically two. First, let me see if I can zoom in a bit, because this is a little small for me. I don't have my screen shared, but I don't know if I can zoom in more. Yes, I can. Okay. First, okay, this is breaking down the tenets of it. First, that racism is ordinary. It's not a normal science, the usual way society does business, the common everyday experience of most people of color in this country. Second, so the first tenet of CRT is that racism is normal. It's just how things are. It's not like a rare occurrence. It's just the way our world is racist. That's the first tenet of CRT. When people talk about CRT, they mean that the world is racist. That's the first rule of CRT is everyone is racist. Okay. Second, not everyone is racist because they don't believe that Black people can be racist because they lack the institutional, power to be racist. But racism is just our world, right? Second, most would agree that our system of white over color ascendancy serves important purposes, both psychic and material. The first feature, ordinariness, means that racism is difficult to cure or address. Colorblind or formal conceptions of equality expressed in rules that insist only on treatment is the same across the board can thus remedy only the most blatant forms of discrimination, such as mortgage redlining or the refusal to hire Black PhD rather than the white high school dropout that do stand out and attract our attention. So if you go to the Democrat Party platform, by the way, they it says in there that they reject well, not reject, but they said that racial neutral policies isn't enough to solve discrepancies or whatever. So they're saying that everybody having the same kind of rules isn't something that they're going to advocate for, because in order to heal the soul of America or save the soul of America, which that's the section it's called on their platform, saving the soul of America. That's something that Joe Biden kept saying on the campaign trail, and he still says it when he addresses people. So part of saving the soul of America is recognizing that we cannot have policies that are the same for Black people and the same for white people and the same for Hispanics and Asians, etc. That we have to game the system and pick winners and losers in some kind of way. Because when you get the government involved, and it's not like baseline, they are picking winners and losers. you know so, so there's that. And they reject color blindness. Now, I've seen like people say CRT is only in college campuses and stuff. It's even in cartoons. Like Cartoon Network had like a ad where it's like, where they rejected the idea of color blindness. So this stuff is more mainstream than folks care to admit. The second feature, sometimes called interest convergence or material determinism, adds a further dimension because racism advances the interest of both white elites materially, of working class people, uh, uh, psychically, largely segments of society have little incentive to eradicate it. Consider, for example, Derek Bell's shocking proposal discussed later in a later chapter, the Brown versus Board of Education, considered a great triumph of civil rights litigation, may have resulted more from the self-interest of elite whites than the desire to help Blacks. So even if um, people say that they are, want to fight racism and other stuff, the truth is, according to CRT, is that white people, whether you're rich and an elite or you're a blue collar sort of worker, that racism benefits you. And because racism benefits you, do you really want to get rid of it? So that's the mentality of CRT. So if you believe that America is just racist, it's just what it is. It's not like some abnormal thing. It's like the air that we breathe, the water that we drink. It's just a part of in the soil or whatever, if that's what you believe, and that white people are racist and that the system benefits them, so they don't want to get rid of it. Scott Adams making the case or saying that there's no point in helping people if they're just going to believe this. That's immediately like the ideology surrounding this. So he's just making the point of the stuff that a lot of these people say. So I don't know how much of that is on purpose or how upset he was at like actually at the polling, or just marveling at it. Again, it's not majority of Black people who say it's not okay to be white, according to the Rasmussen poll. And again, I think the chunk of people who, and this is me, attributing the best that I can to those group of people, that it's just out of moral cowardice, which isn't good. You should be able to say, yeah, it's okay if you're white, it's okay if you're Asian, it's okay, you are who you are. Like, no, there's no virtue or morality in our skin colors, in our backgrounds. We don't, we just are who we are, and we our character and how we choose to act through society determines, whether we make good choices, or we become good people in I suppose our eyes. It has nothing to do with skin color. So it should be easy to say, yeah, it's okay to be, who you are, who you're born. Um, there, your skin color doesn't amount to any sort of malice. Um, so I'd like to think that those people who said they're not sure, um, just were too scared to say. And Rasmussen, like, pointed out, the person who was going over the numbers in the video that we talked about yesterday, I don't think maybe we played that part, but he was saying that it is like very strange, um, and interesting to have that big of a number of not sures, and people who are that like afraid or concerned to say their honest opinion, on like a telephone poll or something. Um, so again, I don't to say that Black people are a hate group because of those numbers. I don't find to be accurate. Um, that's his perception of it. I gonna disagree, but there are a lot of hateful people out there, and the goal is to create more hateful people. It just is. And a lot of these people who claim to be fighting racism and who want to be anti-racist, they're creating a more racist world, and in a world not of healing but of bitterness. And they feel that um at this point and just trying to do better isn't enough. Like, you really have to go down and tear down different institutions as well, because they believe everything is systemic, and um that you can't just progress, like how civil rights just kind of move forward, that you really do have to dismantle stuff. So he made the case that just these people don't like you, just get away from them in his video. And there are people who are agreeing, like, yeah, we don't like you. Why are people surprised? Not everybody feels like that, obviously. I'm against people segregating like that. And I don't think he seriously moved out somewhere to be around less Black people. That's a heck of a thing to announce and mean it. It's a heck of a thing to say anyway. It's a heck of a thing to say anyway. Um, so I think it'll be interesting to see what other commentaries Scott will have around this. I'm cringing for him, but I did think it was interesting because immediately when I saw the video, my first thought was critical race theory and introduction, and that people actually do believe that white people are incentivized to be racist. I mean, how many videos or people online have you guys heard of white people insisting that all white people are racist? And if you don't admit that you're racist, or that you've benefited from white supremacy and white privilege, that then you are just racist anyway, and you're just being dishonest. I've seen that so many times, and replied to people so many times with that, and then it drives me crazy because I'm like, they'll say, Republicans are the racist party. I'm like, but you guys are the ones who are saying that all white people are racist, and you admitted to like being racist, right? Like, didn't everybody in 2020 basically say they're racist? I didn't say that, but isn't that what, like, people had like a mass, I don't know, hysteria where they all had to admit that basically? So I'm like, if you guys already admitted that you're racist, then how are you guys not the racist? You already said that you were racist. How can you not be the party of the racist? You said you were racist, right? I didn't dream that up. Like, there's people who were admitting their ignorance and their white guilt and their privilege and their white supremacy and their whiteness, and reading white guilt and white fragility. That was a thing that happened. I'm not saying there aren't people on the right who got into that a bit, but it was mostly like a thing of left-wing people. Did you just say that stuff because you felt pressure to do it? I know there were, like, literally there's people who admitted that they just felt pressured to admit they are racist, which is like hilarious and sad at the same time. But I'm like, if you guys admitted that you were racist, you're the party of racism. Like, I know a lot of folks on the right who are like, no, I'm not racist. Now you may not believe them and you may challenge them, but you admitted that you're racist. So we're gonna at least go along with that. So I didn't forget, and I'm not gonna forget what the world was like, like 3 years ago. So not memory holing that. But yeah, if you're a white person who's supporting CRT, just know what it says about you. What it says about you, and if you believe that's how it is and how you are, I guess you're racist, and you're incentivized to keep the racist system going because it benefits you. And even when you do help, is it really for you, or is it really because you got some kind of incentive out of it? You got some kind of benefit. Which by the way, Scott's comment about like, why do anything nice because everyone's just going to see you as, racist. I mean, you should do nice things because it's good to be kind to your neighbor. You know, in my point of view, I suppose it would be a commandment to love your neighbor. So you know, and to uh, you know, to even love your enemies, etc. So, and that doesn't mean being a doormat or anything like that, but um, if you're doing things just because you expect a particular result and it's not just like given out of kindness, then I don't know. That kind of sounds more like you're making a trade rather than you know, doing something charitable. And there's, you know, and if it is a trade, it's a trade, but um and if you don't get what you got out, what you were expecting out of your trade, if it wasn't a mutual trade, then I guess you were just getting your hopes up anyway. So yeah, there was definitely things in there that did not come off well with Scott, and I'm not gonna defend them. The only thing I'll say is that there's always like a bunch of hidden layers with Scott and ulterior motives with the things that he says. I, you know, I don't think he went out there to implode himself, but like I said, this conversation that he's having, the things that he said in that video, where it's two sides of the same race is going with the anti-racists, with the black anti-racists and the CRT stuff. Like he's just like a poster child for it. Last thing I want to mention, I'm gonna go ahead and move on, is that Variety is saying that Hogwarts Legacy is making bank, which you guys probably are not surprised. There's so many people like on my timeline who are very excited to play it. Now I am one of those kids that was like could not grow up reading Harry Potter. Actually, you know, we didn't ask. So I guess we'll put that out there. But you know, I am one of those Christian kids like witchcraft, but you know, there are other things that we watched that were fantastical. So I don't know. I don't think that was applied like evenly. But you know, if you had a parent that parents aren't perfect, they're not always consistent, and I can't fault my parents for doing something that they thought was like protecting us. So as I got older, you know, I started watching some of the films. When the first film came out, everyone in the school basically went to the movies except for me. I wasn't allowed to watch that movie. But when I was I guess an adult, I did start watching them. And then I've told the story before, but I was gonna see Deathly Hollows. I can't remember if it was part one or part two, but I was taking my youngest sister with me, and my dad was like, "You see Harry Potter? You could go see that witchcraft stuff." And I was like, "Are you gonna go see Thor? Are you gonna see that blasphemy stuff?" And then he was like, and he just like deflated, defeated, and just like swiveled around in his office chair. And then like we didn't talk for like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden he was like, "It's not the same though." And I don't know, I guess it's not the same. And I you know, again, I'm not gonna fault parents for doing things to protect their kids. But at that point, like I'm saying, I was grown. If he really didn't want Tina, who I think was like a minor at the time, to go see it, I would have left her at home, you know. And but he didn't press it farther than that. I just thought it was funny. But anyway, Hogwarts Legacy. I don't have the same kind of emotional investment in this as other people. And but I see so many people very excited about it, so excited about the chance to immerse themselves in this world. And but there's been all this backlash because so many people hate J.K. Rowling because she believes men and women are women. It's just really that simple. The sort of backlash she gets from the trans community about the game, or well, about, you know, transgender issues, it just doesn't make sense. Other than people are in their feelings, she has not said something that was actually controversial, in my opinion. And I've been following the story for a while. Maybe we can do a deep dive in her comments later. But yeah, she hasn't said anything that's warranted the sort of mass hysteria surrounding her. And I think maybe people just are mostly angry at the fact that she's kind of a bit untouchable, and she's defiant. She's very adamant, and no one is bullying her into pulling a Macy Gray and saying, well, womanhood is a vibe. No one's been able to do that. But people have been going after this game, saying that if you play this game, that's transphobic. And I've seen so many people on TikTok say that. And then there's some kind of reply to a person. It's called a stitch when you reply directly to a video. And people saying, I don't care, I'm going to play this game anyway. And so I've seen people say that there's such a reaction from these folks that's making them want to play. And I've kind of had that feeling a little bit, but I'm like, I don't really want to play it. So I'm not going to like let myself be emotionally manipulated just to go buy a game out of like spite that I probably won't play because I got too much stuff to do. But there are people who like feel like they want to play this thing just to tick people off because there's so many people talking about it. But Variety's reporting that Hogwarts Legacy earns 850 million, sells more than 12 million units in the first 2 weeks. So, which, by the way, the craziest thing in the J.K. Rowling saga, I heard she's not even getting like royalties from it. Like the Warner Brothers had the rights and they did this and they're making money, but she's not making money from this. And part of me is like, oh my gosh, like to not make the royalties from that. But she makes it from the parks and other stuff. But all this drama, if that's the case, they're mad and don't want people to play it, but people are playing it. Hogwarts Legacy, Wingardium Leviosa. I'm like, why is this word weird? It's a spell or something. Warner Brothers Games sells, earning 850 million in global sales and moving more than 12 million units in just its first 2 weeks post-launch on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, and PC, according to the numbers released Thursday by the video game company. That marks the biggest global launch ever for Warner Brothers Discovery-owned brand, with Harry Potter action role-playing game also setting the Twitch record for single-player games with 1.2 million peak concurrent viewers at launch. As Variety previously reported, Hogwarts Legacy opened with a stunning player engagement topping 267 million hours played from launch on February 10th through February 21st. On Thursday, Warner Brothers Games revealed the game had broken company records with 280 million hours played to date. Yeah, it's just doing crazy. I mean, I heard that it's, there's something about it doing more than Fantastic Beasts already, but let me see if it's in this article or someone was just saying that. I don't see it in this article, but yeah, it's they're killing it. They're killing it. So all these people mad at J.K. Rowling and trying to, dim her shine. Again, like Warner Brothers is the ones who did it. They had, the rights to Harry Potter to go ahead and make it. She has nothing to do with the game. But so many people are angry at her over this. And not because she means any ill will toward, people, trans people at all. She's just like, men are men and women are women, and women have different experiences that you can't just, her life is so defined as being a woman. That's only part of her life, but it's ingrained in every part of it. Every piece of it is her being a woman, and you can't just come in and identify your way into that. And that's not a crazy thing to say, but it's something that's really upset folks. So J.K. Rowling doesn't care. She did an interview the other day and said, she doesn't care about, her legacy or whatever. So people were trying to bully her and deplatform her. Y'all ain't doing nothing to make her poor. She's got a ton of money, more than she's going to be able to spend in her lifetime. So people aren't going to be able to stop her. But folks are enjoying the game, playing the game. I won't be one of them because I haven't played a video game in a minute. I haven't played a video game in a while. Just been like too busy. But yeah, I don't have the same emotional attachment to people as Harry Potter. But it is an interesting story. Certainly. But yeah, sorry you didn't stop the launch. because it's doing very well. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Please go to my website, blacktnews.com. Check out different content on my website, different articles, videos, etc. Go check out that article about feminism, or why not feminism so much, but just why I'm not a feminist. And if you are a feminist, that's fine. You know, people seem offended that I didn't refer to myself as a feminist, and I'm just not, like, you know. I don't there's a lot of things I don't like about feminists, especially modern feminists today. Um, and there's other things in the past I can point to, and there's things that I did point to, but I just really don't buy a lot of the premises of it. And you might say it just means equality. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. But anyway, you can go read the article. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. Costs to stream, all that good stuff from my website, etc. If you would like to help with some of the overhead, God bless you. I very much appreciate it. Go check out some different merch. You can go ahead and pre-order my book, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion. And just so you know, I will be out on vacation next week. So you will not see streams, but there might be some different videos that are posting throughout the week. So I'll be enjoying some time away. So just want to let you guys know, so you won't be looking at, the normal time for a normal stream, but that doesn't mean that there won't be periodic things popping up. So thank you guys for everyone who's new, everyone who's, been with me for a while. It's very much appreciated, especially as my numbers are growing, especially on YouTube. It was like they had me blocked forever, but some of my shorts started doing very well and brought some people over. So if you are, watching right now, I encourage you to make sure, if you are subscribed, that you also hit the notification bells as well. I don't know why you have to jump through hoops to see the content that you want to see, yet they'll push content on you that you don't care about, that's unrelated or whatever. But yeah, make sure you hit those notification bells when you know that something is, new or popping up. So God bless you guys, and I'll see you when I get back from vacation.